Not everyone has the time to tackle games with 100 hours of playtime and endless worlds. Sometimes, all we want is a game that's direct, to the point, and delivers everything it has without dragging things out. Short games have the power to make an impact with precision, getting straight to the heart of the matter. They tell their stories, present their ideas, and wrap up with style, all in a single day. They're perfect for those with little time, but who still crave a good gaming session. And that's why today, we've picked out 21 games that are perfect to complete in one sitting. I'm Jax, and if you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel. If you could subscribe to help me grow, I'd be really happy, from one gamer to another. First on the list, we have a game that turns a revenge mission into a spectacle of stylized destruction. Severed Steel takes place in a cold, mechanical, and brutalist world, where a warrior with a cannon for an arm challenges an oppressive corporation. The narrative is told without words, only through actions, and every level screams the protagonist's rebellion. The campaign lasts about 2 to 3 hours, just the right amount of time to keep your adrenaline at its peak. It's all to the point, without unnecessary pauses or filler. The gameplay is built around fluidity. Jumps, slides, wall runs, and slow-motion shots are part of the constant action. There's no reload button. Weapons are temporary, discarded as soon as they run out of ammo. This forces aggressive, improvised movement, with each encounter becoming a violent puzzle. The environments are destructible, opening up creative possibilities for progression. Each level offers multiple paths and encourages different approaches. The graphics follow a modern low-poly aesthetic, with angular environments and neon lighting that highlights every explosion. Despite being minimalist, the settings are lively, full of particles, reflections, and effects that make everything more intense. The soundtrack hits hard, synchronized with the action, and helps keep the pace fast. The visual style is clean, yet with a striking identity, reminiscent of a dark industrial future. The game impresses by doing a lot with a little, maintaining a visual impact with every level. Moving on to the second game on the list, things get way more insane and delightfully absurd. Shadow of the Damned is that kind of game that mixes action, horror, and a generous amount of dark humor and throws it all in a blender. You're thrown straight into a hellish underworld, where every corner hides a deformed creature, and each weapon has more personality than many NPCs out there. The narrative is fast-paced, full of absurdities, and completely unpredictable. A surreal shootout with a nightmare artistic touch. The gameplay heavily relies on third-person action, with bizarre weapons and mechanics involving the strategic use of light. Darkness, in this universe, is a living entity that must be fought with intelligence and quick reflexes. Each level presents new visual challenges, disturbing puzzles, and confrontations that require constant movement. The pace is frenetic, always throwing you into increasingly distorted settings. The soundtrack matches this atmosphere, blending dark rock with Latin influences. The world of the game is a grotesque mix between hell and a stylized horror circus. The structures seem to be in constant agony, and the settings have a life of their own, reacting to your progress. The graphics are heavy, grimy, and intentionally exaggerated, creating a unique atmosphere. Every detail of the environment contributes to the sense of discomfort, and that's what makes it all work so well. It's a trippy journey that manages to be both grotesque and fun at the same time. In third place, we have a game that turns narrative building into an interactive puzzle. Storyteller delivers a unique format where you're the one writing the story, piece by piece, using characters and settings that react differently to every change. The screen becomes a blank book, and you need to arrange events to meet specific objectives, like revenge, love, or betrayal. One gesture changes everything. A kiss can turn into a crime. A death can become redemption. The game never follows just one path, and finding different solutions becomes part of the fun. It's intuitive, but full of hidden possibilities, keeping every challenge interesting. The simplicity of the controls contrasts with the complexity of the narrative choices, making each conclusion feel like a creative triumph. The visual style is clean, almost like illustrations from a children's book, but with an ironic touch that makes everything sharper. The characters are expressive, even in minimalist designs, and the settings change with the story, following the tone of each chapter. The sound is subtle, punctuating the right moments with charm and lightness. Every visual element was carefully crafted to bring the stories to life without distracting from the decisions. A game that surprises with its concept and enchants with how it lets you control the narrative. In fourth place, we take a direct leap into a bizarre setting that feels straight out of a 90s nightmare. Alisa is a survival horror game with a retro feel, full of fixed angles, low-resolution graphics, and that classic tank control charm. But behind the pixelated aesthetic lies an uncomfortable setting with mechanical enemies, surreal environments, and an atmosphere of constant paranoia. Every room has something strange waiting, and the silence often screams louder than any music. The movement is deliberately clunky, reminiscent of early horror games from decades ago, which increases the tension in every encounter. You need to manage ammunition, solve puzzles, and choose carefully when to face or flee. The combat is dry, harsh, as if the game wants you to feel the weight of every bullet fired. The inventory is limited, and every decision counts. All of this keeps the player on edge at all times. The art direction boldly embraces the low-poly style, creating environments that look like they were rendered directly from an old console, but with modern touches. The color palette mixes the opaque and the saturated in a strange yet effective way, reinforcing the sense of oddity. The sounds are dry, metallic, and the background noises create a constant feeling of isolation. It's a game that doesn't need cheap scares to disturb you. It works with discomfort, and it nails it. In fifth place, the action takes over with a game that redefines time as part of the mechanics. Superhot is a shooter where time only moves when you do, turning every combat into a tactical puzzle. It's not just about shooting. You need to think about every step, predict the enemy's trajectory, and act with almost surgical precision. The game makes you feel like you're choreographing an action scene. The environments are minimalist, almost abstract, with white settings and red, shatterable enemies highlighting every action. You usually start unarmed and need to improvise with enemies' weapons or objects in the environment. The graphic style embraces a clean aesthetic, with flat colors that make the game almost like an interactive art gallery in motion. There's a hidden narrative layer that slowly reveals itself, playing with the idea of control and digital addiction. A short game, direct, but that stays in your mind long after the last bullet is fired. In sixth place, we have a game that turns the supernatural into investigation, with dry humor and retro charm. The Darkside Detective puts you in the shoes of a detective facing cases as absurd as they are brilliant, always with a touch of irony. The stories are short, well-crafted, and range from crazy rituals to gremlins in train stations. Everything is treated with that 80s police series vibe mixed with nonsense jokes. A game that makes you laugh, think, and click nonstop. The mechanics are simple and direct, a classic point-and-click with a focus on dialogue and puzzle solving. There's no combat, just deduction and good laughs, as the situations often teeter on the ridiculous, intentionally and hilariously. Each case is self-contained, but together they form a world full of references and memorable characters. The right answers often lie between the lines of humor. It's a game that trusts the player's intelligence without needing to explain everything. The visuals are in pixel art with a dark palette, evoking that 80s mystery vibe, but without losing the lightness. The settings, despite their simple style, are full of details and hidden jokes, making exploration fun. The sound is discreet, with effects that complement the atmosphere and tracks that come in at just the right moments. It's a lovingly crafted game that respects the player's time and rewards curiosity. A supernatural case worth every click. In seventh place, we have a cyberpunk story that cuts deep, tackling ethics, manipulation, and technology with a dose of philosophy. The Red Strings Club blends bartending, emotional implants, and investigations in a dark future where mind control is just another product. The game revolves around intense conversations, moral choices, and small gestures that shape the narrative. Everything happens in closed spaces, but each conversation opens up an entire universe of reflections. Here, words have more impact than any weapon. The gameplay is divided into distinct sections, preparing drinks to manipulate emotions, forging neural implants, or investigating crucial conversations. Everything is focused on narrative and character interactions. The game challenges the player to understand the motivations of others, offering multiple paths to reach different endings. Each decision carries emotional weight. It's one of those games that doesn't ask for rush, but for attention and empathy. The visual style is detailed pixel art, with intense colors reflecting the melancholic atmosphere of the futuristic universe. The soundtrack is soft, almost meditative, contrasting with the tension of the themes explored. The environments are small, but incredibly expressive, with lighting and composition that reinforce the modern war vibe. The game is short, but leaves a lasting impact, like a good conversation you remember days later. A toast to the future and what it might take from us. In 8th place, the idea is to slow down completely with a game that turns everyday life into interactive poetry. Unpacking invites you to organize objects in new homes, exploring intimate moments from someone's life without saying a single word. Each box opened reveals more than just items. It reveals stories, changes, loves, losses. The pace is calm, almost therapeutic, and the feeling of putting everything in the right place is strangely satisfying. It's a game about growing, changing, and keeping memories. The gameplay is simple. You click, drag, and place objects on shelves, drawers, tables, and beds. But what seems trivial becomes a deep emotional exercise. Figuring out where an item belongs is also discovering what it represents at that moment in life. There's no score, just the feeling that something is right or wrong as the space takes shape. The game forces you to look at the details with attention and respect, and that changes everything. The visuals are detailed and cozy pixel art, with soft colors and delicate animations that make each environment feel welcoming. The sound of objects being placed, pulled, or stacked is incredibly well crafted. Everything was recorded for the perfect touch. The soundtrack is discreet, guiding the emotion without stealing the scene. It's a game that communicates everything without using words. A portrait of life told through boxes, cabinets, and small, big memories. In 9th place, Chaos is King and retro aesthetics meet 90s adrenaline with a psychedelic twist. Mullet MadJack is a fast-paced FPS where every second counts and the visuals seem ripped straight out of a VHS tape. The game blends frantic gunplay with a neon world where robots, explosions, and pulsating tracks set the rhythm. The gameplay is centered around speed. The goal is to eliminate enemies before the timer runs out, gaining time with each kill. This creates a constant urgency, where hesitating for half a second could be fatal. The visuals go for exaggeration, with retro filters, saturated colors, and glitch effects that give a unique identity to the game world. It's a game that demands maximum concentration and delivers a sensory reward in every level. In 10th place, the road becomes a stage for intense decisions and unexpected encounters in a journey that never follows the same path. Road 96 puts you in control of young people trying to escape an oppressive regime, crossing a country where every stop changes everything. It's a game of choices, with a procedural twist that guarantees new stories with each new trip. What starts as a simple ride turns into a series of moral dilemmas, unlikely friendships, and surprises along the way. The gameplay is varied. You drive, talk, explore, and solve small challenges that affect the direction of the story. There's no single protagonist. The focus is on encounters, eccentric characters, and the moments that define the course of the journey. Your decisions impact the world around you and even the fate of other fugitives. Each playthrough is a new version of the same country, full of nuances and possibilities. It's a game about freedom, youth, and the uncertainty of each step. A journey with no fixed map, guided only by the will to move forward. In 11th place, terror creeps in with a slow but inevitable rhythm, in an environment that seems to be disintegrating before your eyes. Still Wakes the Deep takes place on an isolated oil platform, surrounded by a brutal storm and a presence that doesn't belong in this world. The isolation is real, and the danger grows without a clear explanation, making each step feel heavier. You don't have weapons, only the urgency to survive. And that makes everything even more suffocating. The gameplay focuses on exploration and survival, with claustrophobic settings, narrow paths, and a constant sense of urgency. You run, hide, and try to maintain control while everything around you crumbles, both physically and psychologically. The events unfold in a cinematic style, with moments of pure despair and suspense. Nothing is predictable, and each corridor could be your last. The fear isn't in the jump scares, but in the constant tension. The graphics are hyper-realistic, with lighting and physics effects that amplify the sense of desperation. The rain, the wind, the creaks of the metal structure all contribute to creating a living, threatening environment. The sound is meticulously crafted with metallic noises, distant voices, and disturbing silences. It's a game that completely envelopes you, making the world around you disappear. A tense, visceral descent into the unknown, with no guarantees of return. In 12th place, the brutality of a universe meets the chaos of a retro shootout, flavored with gunpowder and heavy steel. Warhammer 40k, Boltgun is an FPS that puts you in the role of a gigantic warrior armed with one of the most satisfying weapons in recent games. Every shot is a sonic punch, and every enemy explodes into pieces in a pixelated bloodbath. It's as if Doom was fused with the dark aesthetic of the Galactic Empire. A holy fury in game form. The gameplay is fast, direct, and violent, with environments full of enemies ready to be reduced to minced meat. You run, shoot, jump, and destroy, with no pauses to overthink. The map invites exploration, but without losing focus on relentless action. The main weapon shines both in sound and impact. Every battle is a noisy and satisfying spectacle. The visuals mix the 90s retro style with modern textures, creating the perfect balance between nostalgia and visual impact. The settings are grand, with Gothic structures, temples, corridors, and altars, all designed with an almost oppressive scale. The soundtrack hits hard, combining heavy guitars with sinister themes. It's a game that knows exactly what it wants to be and delivers it with brutal precision. An ode to stylized violence and absolute power. In 13th place, silence finds its voice in a game that uses suffering as a bridge between worlds. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice is an intense journey through pain, loss, and the internal struggle of a warrior marked by trauma. You walk alongside voices that whisper, scream, and confuse. They never leave you in peace, and neither do they allow you to disconnect. The narrative isn't told. It's felt, fragmented between reality and delirium. And every step echoes a past that's hard to carry. The gameplay blends hand-to-hand combat with exploration and puzzles, always sewn together by an auditory environment that invades your ears from all directions. The battles are brutal, and the dodge and counter system requires rhythm and attention. Outside of them, you observe symbols, listen to stories, and try to understand if what you see is real or a product of the protagonist's fractured mind. The challenge isn't just in the enemies, it's in moving forward, even without trusting what you perceive. The sound is the heart of the game, with binaural audio work making the voices feel real, as if speaking directly inside your head. The tracks and noises build tension, fear, and sometimes beauty. Everything is designed to make you feel the weight of the journey, not just live it as a spectator. It's a game that treats mental health with respect, using the interactive medium to place you inside the storm. A solitary, powerful, and unforgettable ritual. In 14th place, minimalism meets emotion in a game that challenges conventions and touches the player in unexpected ways. Undertale presents an underground world inhabited by creatures full of personality, where each encounter is a choice between conflict or compassion. The charm isn't just in the combat, but in how you decide to deal with each enemy. The game breaks the fourth wall, questions your decisions, and responds in ways that surprise even the most experienced. It's simple on the outside, but deeply provocative. The gameplay mixes classic RPG elements with a unique battle system, where dodging enemy attacks is just as important as talking. You can spare, negotiate, or fight, and the game remembers everything you do, even in future playthroughs. The mechanics are creative, ranging from puzzles to reflex-based mini-games, always demanding attention. There's no single path, and each decision changes the course of the story. A small game that thinks big. The visual style draws on 8-bit games, with a simple palette and striking design that emphasizes the narrative. The soundtrack is a show in itself, with themes that stick in your head and intensify every moment of the journey. Every environment, no matter how simple it seems, has life and identity. Undertale shows that you don't need realistic graphics to create a memorable universe. A game that leaves its mark not by what you see, but by what it makes you feel and rethink. In 15th place, terror takes form in a place where technology merges with the deepest fear of consciousness. Soma is a game that goes beyond jump scares, diving into existential dilemmas while trapping you in an abandoned underwater station. The machines are alive, or think they are, and the line between man and machine becomes increasingly blurred. You don't know if you're fleeing from monsters or truths you don't want to face. And every door open brings more questions than answers. The gameplay combines slow exploration with stealth, where direct confrontation is suicide. The focus is on avoiding creatures and solving puzzles while uncovering pieces of a disturbing story. There are no weapons, only silence and a need to understand where you are, what happened, and, most importantly, what you've become. The game knows how to build tension without needing to rush. The threat is in the air, in the sound, in the lack of control. The environments are claustrophobic, with flooded corridors, flickering machines, and recordings that echo like the voices of ghosts. The sound design is cruelly effective, making you hear the enemy before seeing it. The atmosphere is full of despair, but also melancholy. It's a game that doesn't scream, it whispers uncomfortable truths. A work that frightens not because of monsters, but because of what it reveals about identity and existence. In 16th place, Gothic rebirths in full force within a cursed castle that pulses with blood and challenge. Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night is a robust Metroidvania, with non-linear exploration and combat filled with possibilities. Each room reveals secrets, shortcuts, grotesque enemies, and hidden upgrades around every corner. The gameplay is precise, with adjustable jumps, customizable magic, and an absurd variety of weapons, from broadswords to infernal whips. You collect fragments from enemies and absorb abilities that completely change your approach. Exploring isn't just about walking. It's about evolving, adapting, and building your own combat style. The visuals embrace a well-stylized 2.5D, blending richly detailed settings with modern light and shadow effects. The castle has its own identity, with areas ranging from decadent gardens and living libraries to profane laboratories. It's a modern tribute to the classics, made with care by those who understand the subject. A game that doesn't hide its legacy and honors it with style. In 17th place, music guides the journey in an explosion of color and creativity that defies any standard. The Artful Escape is more than a game. It's an intergalactic performance about identity, expression, and artistic freedom. You take control of a young musician in crisis, deciding to escape expectations and create their own sound in a cosmic journey. The stage changes with every step, and the spectacle is always grand. Each setting is a different note in this visual symphony. The gameplay is simple, almost contemplative. You run, jump, slide through psychedelic mountain ranges, and play your guitar to interact with the world. Nothing is about difficulty. It's all about rhythm, style, and presence. The challenges come as musical performances, where you repeat sound sequences and charm creatures from distant planets. The game invites you to leave logic behind and follow your instinct. It's light but impactful. The visual style is pure artistic delirium, with planets that look like moving paintings, floating cities, and creatures that defy definition. The soundtrack is the heart of the game, blending progressive rock, synthesizers, and epic solos that make the journey sound like a visual album. The art direction is as bold as the message it carries. Be whoever you want to be and shout it to the universe with your own melody. A game that is pure spectacle in the best possible way. In 18th place, the seas hide much more than exotic fish in a game that starts calm, but soon reveals something dark beneath the surface. Dredge puts you in control of a small fishing boat, navigating through mysterious archipelagos where the ocean holds ancient secrets and invisible dangers. During the day, everything seems peaceful, just another fisherman making a living. But when night falls, the sea changes its tone, and what you bring in your net may not be just a product of the ocean. The gameplay blends management with exploration and rising tension. You organize the boat space, decide what to fish, sell, upgrade the engine, but you also need to manage time. Staying out after sunset can cost you dearly. Creatures appear, illusions take over the screen, and your sanity begins to be tested. It's not just about fishing. It's about what you're willing to face for profit. Or curiosity. The visual style mixes simplicity with an unsettling touch. The islands are small, but full of atmosphere, with distant lights, thick fog, and waters that seem to watch you. The soundtrack follows the mood, starting serene and diving into dissonant tones as night approaches. Every trip is a choice between safety and discovery. A game that uses the unknown intelligently, turning the sea into a silent character and dangerously alive. In 19th place, navigating becomes more than a peaceful activity and turns into a journey of emotional and physical discoveries. A short hike puts you in the shoes of a young person looking for a cell signal at the top of a mountain, but what really matters are the encounters and detours along the way. You can step off the main path at any moment, talk to characters, run, swim, and glide. And the more you allow yourself to stray from the script, the more unexpected rewards appear. It's a stroll worth 1,000 destinations. The gameplay is free, encouraging exploration without pressure. There's no urgency or mandatory objectives. You climb at your own pace, discover things around you, collect items, and unlock new ways to reach higher places. The act of walking, climbing, and flying becomes almost meditative. The trail is full of small surprises, and each new ability opens different paths. It's the type of game that invites you to slow down, just to enjoy the journey. The ambient sound reinforces this calm, with gentle wind, water, and footsteps on different surfaces, creating a cozy feeling. The story unfolds little by little, almost like a natural conversation with the game itself. By the end, the mountain stops being just a high point on the map. It becomes a reflection of the inner journey of the one who climbs. In 20th place, everything you thought you knew about video games is questioned in a game that observes you as much as you observe it. The Stanley Parable starts with a simple command: leave the room and follow the hallway. But soon, you realize nothing is simple. A narrator follows every move, commenting on your choices, predicting actions, and sometimes getting surprised by them. It's a game about choice, but also about the illusion of choice. A labyrinth of narrative possibilities. The gameplay is straightforward. You walk, open doors, press buttons. But every little decision completely changes the course of the story. Ignoring an instruction can lead to a new ending, and following everything to the letter can also do the same. There are dozens of paths, some absurd, others unsettling, all provocative. The game plays with your expectations, with the concept of freedom, and with the act of playing itself. Nothing is static, everything depends on how you react. The sound of the narrator is the driving force of the game, guiding and challenging you with a mix of sarcasm, philosophy, and British humor. The silences between lines also speak volumes, creating a constant sense of strangeness. As you restart, re-explore, and challenge the rules, you start to realize that the game isn't about reaching an ending. It's about understanding how you deal with systems. An existential comedy disguised as a simple walk. Continuing, war takes form in blocks of continuous action, with a campaign that wastes no time explaining anything. You're thrown right into chaos. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 3 is a global pursuit of Vladimir Makarov, a Russian commander with meticulously calculated plans to reignite a world conflict. The mission starts with a rescue in a gulag taken over by rebellion, but quickly spreads to occupied ports, nuclear plants, and bases filled with biological threats. Each mission is an urgent assault, and each advancement is an attempt to contain the uncontrollable. The pace is fast, and the mission structure surprised by mixing the traditional with more open layouts, where the player chooses how to approach objectives. You can invade with explosives and fury, or infiltrate with silencers and precise movement. The campaign also delivers areas that resemble the Battle Royale style, with expansive maps where you need to gather resources as the mission unfolds. This breaks the expected pattern of the series and leaves room for creative solutions. It's not about following the right path, it's about finding a path that works. The visuals maintain the franchise's realistic weight, but the standout is how sound and environmental design work together to create tension. Helicopters cut through the sky, structures collapse, sirens wail amid the gunfire. Everything is built to keep the player alert. The story doesn't try to innovate too much, but it's clear in its focus, delivering an intense campaign full of moments that stick with you. A battlefield that grabs you by the collar from start to finish. If you're into shooters, I'm leaving an immersive gameplay video of MW3 on the screen, no commentary, focused on fully immersing you in the game, in 4K and 60 frames per second. Check it out. I'm sure it'll convince you to play this game. If you can, please subscribe to the channel to help me grow and never again wonder what to play. I've left 2 videos in the card, one I selected for you and another that YouTube picked. Just click on either one to watch. A big hug, enjoy your game, and see you tomorrow.
Get out of here. Move up, Sergeant. We're pushing to the stairwell. Grenade. Get up here.